For centuries, 10 mysterious rings have been keeping one warlord young, unstoppable, and powerful enough to destroy entire armies. Today, his own assassins are on the trail of the son who left him. For 10 years, Shunny has been playing the role of an ordinary man. However, when a quiet bus trip turns into a deadly confrontation, the life he tried to leave behind starts to draw him back to the family he left behind. In San Francisco, Shengi is known as Sean, and he's a hotel valet with his best friend, Katie. They park their fancy cars all day and they avoid all serious talk of their future all night long. Katie finds Sean to be funny, laid back, and practically impossible to embarrass, but she has no idea that his normal personality is concealing years of brutal combat training. One morning, Sean and Katie get on a city bus to go to work. It all seems normal until a big man with a glowing blade in his hand enters the aisle. His name is Razor Fist, and the fighters around him have the symbol of the 10 rings. The men ask for the green pendant that is around Sean's neck. He tries to calm the situation and avoid unnecessary violence, but the moment one of them grabs Katie, his expression completely changes. Sean grabs the attacker's wrist, shoves him into a seat, and turns the cramped bus into a war zone before anyone realizes what is going on. Katie is astonished as the man she has known for 10 years suddenly starts to fight like a trained assassin. Around the poles, the seats, and the tight space between him and the attackers, Sean is able to control the attackers. He defends against one attack, parries another, and throws a man through the window as the other men try to encircle him. Finally, Razor Fist steps in and fires his weapon. The burning blade cuts through steel as though it were paper, forcing Sean to constantly change direction. He misses the first shot, but the second one gets into the front of the bus and breaks the brakes. The driver is knocked out, and the bus starts to run down the steep streets of San Francisco. Katie takes the wheel, and Sean fends off the attackers from the terrified passengers. The road is littered with cars. People hold on to anything they can reach, and Razor Fist continues swinging his weapon through the moving vehicle. Another strike cuts the bus almost completely in half. The back part starts to separate and some passengers are left on the wrong side. Sean stops attacking and stands between the two parts, holding them together as everyone slowly steps forward. The metal keeps whirling around him and his arms start to shake. He won't let go until the last passenger is safe. Razor Fist charges from the back, and Sean waits until the last second before letting the broken part go, and then throws the man out of the bus using his momentum. Katie navigates through the traffic, through a construction zone, and somehow stops the wrecked car. All lives are saved, but only for a short time. In the chaos, one of the attackers managed to get the pendant from Sean. When they return home, Sean starts packing a bag. Inside, Katie asks him what just happened, since the man she saw fighting on the bus was definitely not the man she knew. Finally, Sean confesses that the attackers are his father's, and that his younger sister has a matching pendant. If the 10 rings took his pendant, they will almost certainly go for her next. Sean hasn't seen his sister in years, but he will not leave her unprotected again. He books a flight to Macau and decides to leave alone, but Katie won't let him get away without telling her who he really is. On the flight, she asks the question that she can no longer turn a blind eye to. Finally, she comes to know the family and the violent childhood that he left behind by stopping him from hiding. Long before Shengi was born, his father, Shu Wenwu, discovered 10 mysterious rings. They were created by no one known and came from no one known, but they endowed Wenwu with tremendous strength and with the ability to not age. Using their power, he created a secret army called the 10 Rings, and through them conquered kingdoms, toppled governments, and controlled events behind the scenes. For centuries, Wenwu kept on expanding his empire until money and land were no longer enough. In 1996, he started his quest for the hidden village of Talo, which was rumored to hold ancient martial arts, magical creatures, and powers that were unknown to the outside world. With his soldiers, he went into a bamboo forest that was changing, but the path would not let them go. Cars were being wrecked, roads were being lost, and all roads appeared to go deeper into the labyrinth. Wenwu finally went on his own until he got to the entrance of the village. There, a guardian named Ying Li stood calmly and told him that he shouldn't be in Talo. The 10 rings were Wu's weaponry, and she was hoping to beat her in seconds. Instead, Li was able to maneuver around the rings with complete control, redirecting his strength and turning his own attacks against him. Wenwu had never encountered anyone who didn't fear his power before. Their fight gradually turned into something that neither of them anticipated. Wu went back to visit Li again and eventually fell in love with Li. Because of his violent life, the people of Talo rejected Wenwu. So, Li decided to abandon the village and start a new life with him. Wu gave up his empire, hid away the 10 rings, and became a husband instead of a conqueror. He and and Li had 2 children, Shangyi and his younger sister, Xiaoling. For several peaceful years, the most feared man in the world became nothing more than a loving father. Li had taught young Shangyi that strength was not always to be gained by force. She taught him to sense the energy in the world around him, to feel the movement, and to move with an attack, not against it. She also presented both children with identical green pendants featuring a dragon. Li told them that when they got lost, the pendants would help them find their way back home. Unfortunately, the peaceful life she created could not erase Wen Wu's past. One day, the members of the Iron Gang came to their house. When Wen Wu was away, they wanted to punish him for what he did years ago. Li told her children to stay inside while she was left to deal with the attackers alone. When she left the village, she had lost the magic of Talo and was no longer as powerful as she had been. Nevertheless, she was in the way between the gang and her kids. Wu came back and discovered that Li was dead and his children were waiting in the house. He broke all the way down in there. He took out the 10 rings from the box and was no longer the warlord he had promised his wife he would not be. Wu brought Shang-Chi to the Iron Gang's hideout and slaughtered all those who were responsible, leaving his young son to watch. That night he ceased being Shang-Chi's father and started to shape him into a weapon. He put him under Death Dealer, one of the most ruthless fighters in the 10 rings. Each error incurred an additional strike and each hesitation was met with a strike. Sheni learned to block pain, hide fear, and attack before anyone could attack him. While his father called this training, the frightened boy slowly lost the peaceful lessons his mother had tried to give him. Xiaoling was treated differently, but not better. Wen Wu wouldn't train her because he didn't want to see his daughter and think of Li. Kaling did not do this, but stood off and secretly mimicked all the men's movements. Xiaolin taught herself to survive without anyone's permission while Sheni was being forced to become a weapon. At the age of 14, Wen Wu gave Sheni his first real mission. His aim was at the man who ordered Li's death, but his right as well. Sheni tells Katie that he ran away before he finished the mission, changed his name and went to San Francisco. He's telling the truth, but he can't look Katie in the eye. In Macau, they follow a call to a building that looks like it's abandoned. It is filled with a variety of games, including the Golden Daggers Club, an underground arena where strange fighters fight for an online audience. A staff member identifies Sheni from the viral bus video and assumes that he has come to compete. Before he can explain himself properly, Sheni is pushed towards the ring. His opponent waiting for him is Xiaoling. He is happy to see his sister alive, but she responds with an attack without warning. Xiaoling is much quicker and much more talented than Shangyi was expecting. He attempts to defend himself without causing her any real harm, but his efforts only make her more angry. Each strike comes with the agony of years of waiting for a brother who promised to come back. Xiaoling knocks him to the ground and wins in front of the whole club. Post-match, Shangyi tells her that Wu's men took his pendant and are likely to take hers as well. Xiaoling barely responds, for she is still thinking of the promise he broke. Shangyi left home and told Xiaolin that he would come back after 3 days. She waited, but 3 days turned into weeks, and weeks into years. She knew at some point that her father and brother would not come to her aid. When Xiaoling was 16, she escaped the compound and formed the Golden Daggers Club on her own. So when Wu refused to give her a seat in his organization, she created her own empire. Xiaoling tells Shangyi that she never sent him a postcard with the club's address. 10 ring soldiers break into the building before they can learn the trap. Shang-Chi and Xiaoling battle their way up bamboo scaffolding hundreds of feet above the city. Katie fights her way across the thin platforms as the fighters move in from either side. Shangyi instructs Xiaoling to continue to go on and on and on, and he turns around and faces the soldiers. She will not abandon him, and the brothers and sisters start fighting together. After all these years, they instinctively protect each other without speaking. Then Death Dealer comes out and strikes Shangyi with the same vicious beat used in their training. Shangyi is momentarily the scared child he was. Death Dealer pushes him backwards, hits every opening, and pushes him to the edge. The terror finally subsides and Shangyi snatches Death Dealer's arm and turns the attack back on him. Over the years, all the rage pours out during each blow, and Shangyi starts to take over his former teacher. He pins Death Dealer to the wall and almost loses his composure. The 10 rings tear through the air before he can complete the fight and stop him. Wu has arrived. He takes Sheni, Xiaoling, and Katie back to the 10 rings compound. They are greeted by Wu, who seems like he has saved his family, not kidnapped them. He is polite to Katie at dinner and quietly proud of his children. Wu admits he's been watching Shangyi for years. He knows where his son lives, where he works, and who is important to him. Shangyi understands that the freedom he thought he had was never his, as it was merely a matter of Wu not taking it away. Later, Xiaoling tells Katie what happened after Sheni had vanished. After Li's death, Wu was barely able to look at her and treated her like a sore thumb, a reminder of all that she had lost. He didn't teach her, so she stood in the corner and imitated what the boys were doing until she could could do it better. Finally, Wenwu collects all the people in a room with a carved dragon. He puts the 2 green pendants into its eyes, and water begins to flow across the floor and up to a flowing map of the bamboo forest. The map shows a secret path that goes straight into Talo. Wenwu says he's been hearing Li's voice. She says that the people of Talo locked her up in a gate and are asking him to save her. Wenwu thinks that the village has been punishing Li for her selection and has been hiding her around for years. Both Sheni and Xiaoling are shocked when they see their father, as they both know that their mother died. But hope has become certainty for Wenwu after listening to the voice for so long. He will be going into Talo and he will break open the gate and destroy the village if anyone gets in his way and in Li's way. Sheni tells him that the voice is lying. Grief comes out for a fleeting moment under Wu's anger, but the warlord soon returns. He commands his children and Katie to be locked up until he is prepared to attack. Within the cell, they hear a man behind the wall. The prisoner is actor Trevor Slattery, who was once known as Mandarin and pretended to be the leader of a terrorist group. He was kidnapped by Wu and was able to survive by entertaining the Ten Ring. Trevor is accompanied by a small headless creature named Morris. Trevor somehow knows all of Morris's words and says the animal is from Talo. There is another route through the bamboo forest, says Morris. Xiaoling uncovers a secret tunnel under the compound that she found as a child. The group crawls through the passage, makes it to the garage, and they steal a reinforced vehicle. The guards start to close the gates, but Razorfist steps in the road to prevent them from escaping. Katie runs through the barrier and collides with it before the soldiers can catch her. Morris leads the group to the bamboo forest. As soon as they step onto the road, however, walls of bamboo start to move. The path opens and closes in seconds, crushing anything in between the trees. Katie is at the wheel and follows Trevor's frantic instructions as the forest moves around them. If they take one wrong turn, everyone in the car will die. Katie drives straight at a solid wall of bamboo, but manages to squeeze through the gap before it closes behind them when Morris gives the final signal. On the other hand, they go to a secret land where creatures live that are supposed to be found only in legends. The fields are guarded by giant lions. Birds glow and strange animals look on as the vehicle approaches the village. Talo's warriors immediately surround the outsiders. Before the confrontation turns violent, a woman named Ying Nan steps between them. She is Li's sister and the aunt Shangi and Xiaoling never knew they had. Nan embraces both siblings and welcomes them as Li's children. Nan leads them to the edge of a dark lake where a huge stone gate is set into the mountainside. She says that Talo is just one village in a vast area. Once upon a time, the world was invaded by a being called the Dweller in Darkness. The beast fed on souls and grew stronger with each one it ate. Smaller soul eaters proceeded, sucking up entire cities and returning the stolen souls to their master. The creatures eventually faced towards Earth, and the warriors of Talo attempted to halt them. Ordinary weapons could not even touch the soul eaters. The battle seemed to be lost when the Great Protector came out of the lake. The dragon went with Talo's warriors, imparted to them the power they required, and assisted in driving the Dweller and his army back behind the dark gate. Nan tells Li that he is not calling Wenwu. The Dweller can mimic the sounds of the people that the victim loves the most, and use the victim's pain to forge false hope. They've heard other voices before, but none of them had a weapon strong enough to harm the gate. Wenwu has 10 rings, and the rings are strong enough to break the seal. The forest will reopen at sunrise, and Talo will have one night to prepare. Nan gives Sheni and Xiaoling armor made from scales shed by the Great Protector. The villagers also have weapons fashioned from dragon scales, as these weapons will injure the soul eaters. Xiaoling selects a rope dart and gets used to it in no time. This is the first time all her movements are in response to the years she spent training alone, but no one tells her that she doesn't belong. Katie says she's never been in a fight, so an older archer places a bow in her hands. Her first shot is off-center and her second shot is not faring much better. Despite this, she keeps practicing, knowing that everyone will be required when Wenwu arrives. Sheni trains with Nan by the lake. He strikes with the hard direct strikes his father taught him, but Nan calmly deflects each strike. She tells him that he has been rejecting Wenwu and idealizing Li for years. Although both parents are already in him, Wenwu provided him with strength and discipline, and Li with balance and control. Sheni doesn't have to be his father, but he can't win if he runs away from half of himself. He starts to slow down, sensing the movement around him, and letting both styles of fighting play into each other. That night, Sheni is seated by Katie as the village gets ready for war. He finally reveals to her the truth about the mission Wenwu gave him when he was 14. He didn't escape before the target was killed. Sheni finished the task and felt that revenge would help him cope with the pain of his mother's death. Rather, he studied the man who he had killed and what Wenwu was making him. That's why he left for America, and that's why he never came back for shelling. The confession puts him in a position of vulnerability that is more vulnerable than any physical confrontation. Katie doesn't excuse what happened, but she won't let one bad thing ruin the rest of his life. Wenwu taught a child to kill, but Shangi is still accountable for his decisions today. Shangi thinks there's only one option left. If Wenwu can get to the gate, he might have to kill his own father. When the sun rises, the bamboo forest opens up and Wenwu comes into Talo with the full army of the 10 rings. He finds Shangi and Xiaoling among the villagers and blames them for being among those who took Li away. His kids attempt to contact him once more. They tell him that the voice is a monster's voice and that their mother is really dead. The truth is something Wenwu will not accept, as it would mean losing Li again. He orders the attack and the peaceful field immediately explodes into battle. 10 ring soldiers rush forward, while Talo's warriors confront them with dragon scale staffs, blades, and arrows. While using her rope dart to disarm one attacker, Xiaoling turns to protect the villagers next to her. Katie remains near the archers as the battle rages on. She continues to draw the bow, though her hands shake. As Razor Fist cuts through the defenders with his heated blade, WW ignores most of the battle and walks directly towards the dark gate before the first ring hits him. Shangi blocks his path and the first ring strikes before he can move properly. Wenwu pushes the rings at his son from both sides, pushing him back. While Sheni is able to use Li's fluid motions to deflect a few attacks, Wenwu has been in charge of the rings for centuries. One ring hits Shangi's chest while another hits him from behind. Wenwu keeps on attacking and tells his son that he was not present at Li's death. He claims that Sheni fled for revenge, left Xiaoling behind, and went into hiding in another country as their family fell apart. His father refuses to believe the truth that Shangi answers. Li passed away. Her children were left in need of Wenwu, but he preferred murder, the 10 rings, and his empire. Wenwu's grief is transformed into rage, and all 10 rings strike Shangi simultaneously. The impact sends him flying across the lake and he sinks under the water. As Li's voice whispers on the other side of the gate, Wu turns toward the gate. It sounds scared and in pain, and he thinks that he is just a few moments away from saving her, when attacks the seal and the mountain shakes, with cracks appearing in the stone. The small soul eaters squeeze through the holes and then they plunge into the battle. The 10 ring soldiers attack them with steel, but their weapons pass straight through the creatures. One soul eater grabs Death Dealer and tears the soul from his body. He falls dead in front of everyone, forcing both armies to understand that the danger has completely changed. More creatures come through the gate and start to attack soldiers on both sides. Razor Fist knows that their fight against Talalo is no longer relevant. He tells the 10 rings warriors to gather dragon scale weapons and to stand next to the villagers. In no time at all, enemies turn into one army as soul eaters rush across the battlefield, pulling away souls to the gate. Under the lake, Sheni continues sinking as the sounds of battle slowly disappear. Li's memories come back and he recalls his mother saying that he has the heart of their family. She said to him that the Great Protector would always lead him home. A huge shadow slides under the water and 2 eyes suddenly appear. The Great Protector rises up, carrying Shang-Chi, bursting out of the lake and scattering water over the battlefield. The dragon rips up the soul eaters and crushes them in his jaws and throws them down from the sky. Shangi leaps off the dragon and falls between Wenwu and the gate. Father and son go to battle again, but this time Sheni isn't a frightened child. He's leveraging Wenwu's power, Li's balance, and the control he's found in his own. The rings start to switch sides. Then 2 more move onto Shangi's arm and then 4 more. While Wenwu tries to pull them back, one after another, the remaining rings depart his father and all 10 are now orbiting Shangi. He collects their power and knocks Wenwu down. Shang-Chi is readying the final blow, but he does not want to kill his father. For the first time, Wenwu does not look at him with anger, and the warlord for a moment is hidden behind the broken man's face. The moment is not eternal, for the gate is already broken. The man who lives in the dark comes out of the mountain and rushes to Shangi. Wenwu responds immediately and jumps between the animal and his son. The dweller snatches Wenwu out of the air and starts to extract his soul. Wenwu attempts to flee, but knows that he can't. Before his death, he gazes at Shangi and gives him all 10 rings. While his father is falling, Sheni catches the rings, but he doesn't have time to grieve. The dweller has taken Wenwu's soul, making its body bigger and stronger. As the Great Protector attacks again, more soul eaters converge on it. The dweller grabs the dragon and tightens its claws on the dragon's body. Its jaws open near the Great Protector's chest and the dragon's soul starts to rip apart. Sheni and Xiaoling climb the dragon and attack the monster together. Xiaoling's rope dart passes through his face and Sheni hammers the rings into him. The dweller barely responds, and throws shelling from the dragon. Shangi grabs her hand, but the dragon weakens under them as the creature sucks the Great Protector. Shangi tells Shieling to let him go before the monster gets them both. She doesn't want to because he left her once and she will not let her family fall apart again. Katie can see the dragon's soul being drawn from its body on the shore. She has just one arrow remaining and the target is in a crumbling field. Her hands start to shake, but the older archer tells her to take deep breaths. Katie pulls the string and lets go of the arrow. The shot hits the dweller directly in the throat. The monster recoils, allowing the Great Protector enough time to escape and pull the monster towards the lake. Shunny stands up with all 10 rings in his hands and throws them into the creature's body. As the dweller fights the dragon, the rings encircle its body. Shunny makes fists and pushes the rings together, crushing the monster from the inside. Its body splits apart. All the other soul leaders collapse, and silence finally descends upon Talo. The survivors gather around the water that night, and light lanterns for all those they lost. Shangi and Xiaoling pay tribute to their mother, but they also pay tribute to Wu, the father who lost himself to grief and protected his son in his last moments. As the lanterns glide into the night, the siblings stand together. They're not alone, as they were in their childhood. The Great Protector comes back under the lake and the people of Talo start to reconstruct their village. Later, Shang-Chi and Katie go back to San Francisco and see their friends. They tell about the bus fight, the secret village, the souling monster, and the dragon. But their friends don't believe their word. Suddenly, a portal appears next to the table, and Wong walks through. He calls out the name of Shunny, turns to Katie and invites them to come with him. The two friends enter the portal, and their normal life is left behind. Wong reviews the 10 rings with Bruce Banner and Carol Danvers at Camertage. The rings are much older than Wu ever imagined, and the material is not the same as Carol has ever seen in space. Bruce can also not relate them to any known technology on Earth. Wong finds out that the rings are transmitting a message into the unknown. They are unknown in their origin and unknown in their destination. Following the meeting, Wong informs Shunny and Katie that their lives have forever changed. They don't return home quietly, but instead take Wong out for karaoke. Back at the 10 Rings compound, Xiaoling is in Wu's former position. She told Shunny that she would destroy the organization, but she has decided to do it her way. Women are now training with men. The courtyard is filled with new fighters, and the rules that drove jailing out of the game have been removed. The 10 Rings are still there, but now they are her property. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, leave a comment about your favorite movie, and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.